Hi, everyone. I'm Stella Sibi. I'm a health and fitness coach for women in menopause, and I am the host of this Inspire show. And as you know, I always bring guests who can inspire you on some way. Today, I also have a guest who will inspire you. She's a body and mind transformation coach. Uh, she is Regan La Testa. Hi, Regan.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Can you tell me something about you? Why you start to coach people?
So,
Actually, women. Yeah.
yes, yes. So I started, I always joke, I'm a recovering lawyer. I was a practicing bankruptcy attorney for like 20 some years, just over 20 years. And because of a whole bunch of things going on in my life, which started with my my now 16-year-old getting headaches and stuff when she was 6 or 7 and never knowing what was going to happen on any given day. She basically lives with a headache every day, and then it'll spike up to migraines. So my life just sort of got out of control because of that and a bunch of other things going on that I realized I needed help. And I needed to make it change in my job. And so I went and got my coaching certification with the intent of helping parents of kids with chronic health issues. Pandemic happened in the midst of all of that, and a injured back, not getting to the gym, everything like that. 2 weeks into lockdown during COVID pandemic, I turned to my husband and I said, "How can we come out of this better than when we started?" And it really set almost the whole family, but both of us on new paths. For me, it was finding a health coach, nutrition coach, and really starting to take control of my physical health as well as my mental health. I'd been in therapy at the time, but I really needed to make some changes to my body and just how I was feeling. And I'm one of those girls who hit puberty and gained 10 pounds every year. So I, even back in high school, started Weight Watchers. I did one of the programs with prepackaged food in 10th grade, lost 48 pounds, got down to a weight I should never have been, hit right back up. So my struggle with weight has been pretty much my whole life. 3 pregnancies, gained the same amount of weight, no matter how I ate, what I did, or anything like that. And at the beginning of the pandemic, my work pants were not fitting. I was like, if I keep up the way I'm doing, I'm going to need a whole new wardrobe by the time I get back to work. So I made changes, and that's when I found my health coach, who I'm still working with, the nutrition coach today, and started to just revamp my entire life in terms of how I saw fitness, how I saw food, just every aspect of my life in general. And on the 1 year anniversary of that, I posted about my transformation, and really with the intent to inspire. Because of that, people wanted to work with me. So then I went and got my certification as a nutrition coach and personal trainer, and then have gone on to coach women. And the reason women is because I joke that it took me 17 years to realize that I mattered outside of being a mom and a lawyer or my job. And I didn't want other women to feel that way. And I know what it's like to go into your closet and have no clue what you're going to wear, to worry about what you're going to look like in pictures, to worry about how bad your clothes are fitting, and just not have the energy to keep up with everybody else. And that's really where I come from in terms of wanting to help other women not get to that same space, or to get out of it if that's where they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When came COVID, I was the same. I was just starting my journey, and I went weekly twice. It wasn't enough, but I was doing that twice to the gym. But
Right.
then they closed, so I was, what now?
Yep.
And then I started my real journey, because I started my home workout. So
And you can do a
and
lot.
I
You can do a
Yeah.
lot at home, and people think you have to get to the gym or that you have to spend hours and hours and hours doing something. And, you know, like I know so many people during the pandemic, especially who got the Peloton and they got on, and they were doing that, and that's fine, but that's not going to combat menopausal weight gain. That's not going to combat the muscle loss. It's not going to combat everything that most of us are struggling after 40. And it's hard to tell somebody that. Nothing against Peloton, nothing against any of those companies, but and I will say I started at Orange Theory Fitness. That's where I was pre-COVID. And that's where I hurt my back. And again, nothing against them. I loved it when I was going. And then I realized that was actually probably stressing my body out more than doing what I started doing at home and watching what I'm eating. And people think that like the gym is the most important thing, but really nutrition is really where it all comes from. So I went to the gym so I can eat this, or I ate, I ate this and now I have to go to the gym, like the punishment or reward of food, that's really
Yeah.
what sabotages so many women.
Yes, and I don't think it's good thing that they just counting the calories, and I think it's not enough, because it's not the calories the most important thing. The macro is the most important thing from what we eat more, and that too, it has to be a healthy thing, not just okay, I will eat a hamburger and after I will go to the gym. So it's no, it's not this.
Right.
We need healthy foods, not counting the calories. I think.
No,
I don't know. What
I'm
do you think?
I'm the same way. I always tell my clients it's like, yes, calories are king. So you need to watch the amount of calories that you're eating, but your protein is the next most important thing.
Yes.
If the other two, if your fats and your carbs don't hit exactly, as long as you're sort of under the calories and you're in a deficit while you're trying to lose fat, that's fine. But, the protein is so important. Again, going back to during menopause, after 40, when you're starting to lose, like, and I'm sure you've talked about this, but like in terms of staying full, in terms of burning more calories, because protein burns more calories just in digestion, and helping with energy and muscle building. And so many women don't understand that, that becomes a real big, and it's hard. I mean, I have a lot of clients that struggle with, I have one client just started with me and she is great because she's hitting her protein targets because she was doing it before. But so many clients struggle with getting that protein intake in, especially depending on what they eat or don't eat. That to me is like, the most important thing from a nutrition standpoint. And then obviously lifestyle stuff is huge as well.
Yes, and a lot of women I didn't know either before,
Right.
6-7 years ago, when I started to study this also, because I felt I'm not good. Menopause came, and I gained weight. I had that mood swings, and didn't sleep well, hot flashes and everything. and and I didn't like to watch myself in the mirror, because how it looked like my belly fat, I
100%.
hated it.
And
So
it's
and I didn't know, and why is that, and how can I change it? I thought, because 90% of the women over 40 has belly fat and gaining weight. And my doctors also said, oh, you used to it, you are in menopause. So it's nobody told us that we can change it. It's don't have to be on that way.
no, it doesn't. And, like for me, who it was a struggle my whole life, and I had done all of the, not all, but a lot of the commercial diets. I had bought the books that were like the hot book, and it worked for a little bit. And then but nothing was sustainable, right? Like you gain it right back. And so for me, I think that whatever it is that you choose to do has to be something that you can live with. So if while I'm not a fan of the different trends, let's call them, but like if you can do keto for the rest of your life and it works for you, that's great. But like the likelihood is that you're not going to be able to survive in one of those ways, you know? So how do you create the lifestyle that you can go eat the food that you enjoy so that you're not feeling deprived? You go to a party, you're going on vacation. How do you make it work for you? And I think that's where women, you know, like growing up in that age of skinny, and being told 1,200 calories and cardio, and all like that, it really did, like, that's, first of all, our metabolisms are all messed up because of it. Because we spent so much time in a very low deficit, and we don't know how to do it correctly, and changing the mindset that you should be eating, that you need food. One of the things that I really focus on with my clients is letting, you know, saying to them, and for those who get it, it's like a light bulb goes off, but that food is fuel. So instead of, you know, yes, you can enjoy it, and yes, you should enjoy it, but like asking yourself, is this going to make me feel good? Is this going to fuel my body the way that I need it to, the way that I want it to? Or is it going to make me garbage? And if the answer is it makes you feel like garbage, then that's a good thing to stay away from. And, you know, as you know, like what works for me doesn't work for you, right? So like personally, I am not a fan of, I love garlic, but it does not do well. It doesn't make me feel good. So I stay away from it. My husband can eat as much garlic as he wants, and it's no issue. So I think a lot of it is learning what works for your body, and there is no one size fits all for anybody.
Yes. And the diet, when they start, somebody saying, I started a diet or 90-day diet or something like that. I said, no, it's no good, not diet, a lifestyle change.
Right.
Because if we finish that 90-day, we will go back to eat what we eat before. Yeah.
And I think it's about, that's exactly it. Like if you look at it as, I try to tell my people, this is a long game. Like there's no end date. We may not work together forever. We won't work together forever. I don't want to work with you forever because you need to learn to do it on your own. But the goal is that you are going to walk away from me having everything that you need to not need to go on another program, plan, diet, whatever you want to call it, ever again. And I think that's where most things are, the commercial products, programs, whatever you want to call them, are detrimental for all of us, for our bodies, because it's such that mindset that it's a limited period of time, like you just said.
Yes. So not dieting.
I even hate the word diet because I think it has like diet is what we eat, right? It doesn't mean the connotation of like you have to, for weight loss, right? But that's what it's turned into. So even in like when I'm having conversations with people, or like I have an email list and stuff like that, like I try to not use the word diet because I don't want people to have that thought in their head. And if I do, I make it like I'm talking about what you're eating, not the weight loss aspect of the diet. So.
And I know they are saying now that we are over 40, we are losing 1 or 2% of our muscle mass over 40. And so it's not just about our weight loss. It's our lifestyle change. It's much more.
Right.
What do you think?
I think that's 100% true. And I think that there seems to be, and I know for me, it's been a huge shift, the idea of strong versus skinny. I'd rather somebody say to me, wow, you look like you've been in the gym, or you look like you're strong, you look like you work out, than, wow, look how thin you are, or look how skinny you are. That to me is not a compliment. 15 years ago, it would have been a great compliment. Today, absolutely not, because I know that I am going to be able to get up and move when I'm older. I know that I'm going to be able to survive whatever comes my way because I'm healthy and strong. And I've been talking about this a little bit more lately. Yesterday was 4 weeks out of a hysterectomy, and I have already been in the gym. I have already, like, my recovery has been pretty good because of the shape that I was in before. And so I think that's a huge testament to the importance of being on it as soon as you can. Like, don't wait, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. If you had told me back in January that I would have been having a hysterectomy in 6 months, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. My situation, I had a fibroid that came out of nowhere and got large very quickly, and something needed to be done, and that was it. So to me, like, and my doctor said, you're going to be fine but I have a friend whose sister had the day before me, and she's not driving, she's barely walking, because we started in such different, and she had other health stuff, but she like is afraid to even move because she's not recovering well. And
Mm-hmm.
I just, that says a lot about how important it is to start as early as you can, before menopause or early stages of menopause, and really to be, I mean, I would say, even like, I'm the mother of 3 girls. My oldest is 23, my youngest is 16.
Very good.
And yep.
I have to.
It's fun. No, I love my daughters. But we got a lot of hormones in this house, my poor husband. But I think it's important to get the girls to understand at a young age about
Mm-hmm.
getting into the gym, seeing their moms doing these things. They can choose not to, but not to be afraid of eating healthy, not to be pushing the unhealthy. And I had done that. I will say that I was never, not always perfect. And I don't think that perfection is necessary. I'm a French fry girl. You're never taking my French fries away from me. Like, it's just not happening. So I think it's like, how do you get your daughters to, all of us, not just our daughters, but like getting started as soon as possible, so that you're not afraid of being in the gym and lifting heavy. I always say, don't use the girl weights. Like, the goal is to lift the heavier weights, and to, like, don't be afraid of eating something. Just know you've got to work it into your program. Like, if you like to have that alcohol, it's okay. Just know the consequences of it and make sure it fits within your plan for the day. It's a lot of planning. But I think that all of this is such a different thing of where we started from, in terms of, 30 years ago, and how most of us who are now in menopause, perimenopause, were raised. And I know that was kind of a long answer to your question.
It's okay. Yes, I think also that if our daughters, or because we can give
Right.
example now, they seeing it what we are doing now, and it's a good example. And if they don't doing it maybe now, but maybe for a few years or 10 years they will start, because they saw it.
Right.
And maybe if they start for when they will be 30, let's say, to do some exercises, or going to the gym, then maybe their symptoms of the menopause will be less, or reduced.
Yeah.
Probably has a good effect, lifestyle change.
I do agree. And I mean, we talked about hot flashes and all that stuff too. And I think like and this all goes into lifestyle, and at least how I coach my clients, is managing stress, because your hot flashes, your night sweats, like all that stuff is so related to stress. So the more stress and anxiety you have, the more likelihood you're going to have the hot flashes. And I know, just even in my life, when I've had more anxiety, like, I am worse at night. Like, my sleep is definitely off. So, how do you manage your stress, and making sure that that's important? And for a lot of people, getting into the gym or going for those walks are all they need to make sure that they are working through some of that. So I think, it's really about making, like, that whole picture. It's not just food or the gym. It's
Yes.
Sleep, stress, the food, steps, because the daily movement is almost more important than the exercising in some respects, in cardio health, and in just, if weight loss is the goal, making sure that you're moving throughout the day.
Yes.
There's a lot, but it doesn't have to be hard. And that I think, like, I don't know what you're seeing, but in my area community, everybody is so into the quick fixes, whether it's the weight loss injections, whether it's like, I'm on some Facebook groups, and the women are only seeking, I don't want to count macros. I don't want to go up to the gym. Just tell me what supplement I need. Well, that's not going to help you lose weight. Like, That's not good. And if it does, you're going to lose your muscle mass. You're going to be, you're going to be skinny fat, if anything, and you're going to be back where you started from with an empty wallet. So,
but they lived like that maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and now they want quick fix. How?
Yep.
It's not possible.
No, no. And it's not going to, I mean, it's going to end up backfiring if you don't take care of yourself, you know? And I think like for a lot of women I'm working with, they saw their parents, they saw their moms not being able to move, and they don't want to be like that. Or they're starting to have some issues that they want to stop now, that they want to prevent before it gets bad. And I think, you know, longevity in some respects, and obviously aesthetics and weight and all that stuff is important for health, but also the longevity aspect of it too, we have to remember.
Health span. I said always, health span is more important. And if we live till 80, but from 60 to 80, we will be sick or have some chronic disease, it's not good. But if we live till 80, healthy, then I can die at 85. But I was healthy till then, and I could do exercises. I could do everywhere to live my life fully. That is the most important thing.
No, 100%, because I think you can look at two women, two men, two people, whatever you're comparing, who are in, you know, the exact same age, who are, you know, even grew up in the same area, but had very different lives, whether they smoked, whether they, you know, ate a lot, whether they didn't exercise, had a sedentary job, never went to the gym. And then you've got the person over here who has taken care of themselves, gets regular checkups, moves their body, eats well, you know, all like that. And they could be the exact same age. And one is, you know, they might be 50 and look completely different, and their health is completely different. So, you know, age is sort of, it's important because that's when things start, but like you can be a young 70 or you can be an old 50. And I think we have to keep that in mind too. And that there are ways to combat all of that.
Yes. I just saw lately so many women in their 70s, and they look great. They are strong, and they are lifting, or they are doing pole fitness. One of the women pole fitness in 73, you know, and she's stronger than me because I just, wow. I want to be that woman.
I want to be that flexible today. That's great.
Yeah. And what was the point when you said it's enough, and that you will change something for your life? What was that?
It was really during the pandemic when I realized that my pants, like if I continue, so I'm not a big drinker, never really have been. But like, at least, you know, around here, people were like, oh, I'm going to drink, you know, like, oh, let's get the alcohol, let's get this. And we were cooking and we were doing and baking, and I was drinking, you know, I think for the first 2 weeks, I probably had 5 drinks, which for me was, and it may have been 5 times of drinking, not necessarily drinks. And as I said, I'm not a big drinker. And when lockdown wasn't 2 weeks, I just was like, I cannot continue down this path. And to me, that was really, it was, again, asking, how do I come out of this? I had already started my life coaching certification. So I had already started this process, but not physically. And it was like, this has to change, or I am not going to be good for anybody. And that really, I mean, it really was 2 weeks into, like almost to the day. It was like, well, lockdown was like April 20th, I guess, really when everything shut. And I would say by April 1st, I was on the phone with the nutrition coach. So it was pretty quickly into lockdown that I said, this has to change. And I haven't looked back. I have, you know, my goals may have changed, you know, and stuff like that. And then because of my surgery, I've had a little setback on I'll be 50 next month in a couple weeks. And that's,
Great.
Thank you. But I had like a 50th goal of like really being in the best shape I could be. And obviously my body decided to not cooperate with that. So now 51 is the goal. But my point is that I think like going back to kind of your question is that was the tipping point for me. But I still work with my coach, even though it's been this long, because my goals are constantly changing. And I think that goes back to our conversation of like no end date. Well, I don't want my clients to be with me forever. If their goals are changing, we're going to stay together a little bit longer, because like it may be about weight loss today and tomorrow or in 6 months, it could be about, they've maintained and now they want to start really building muscle and developing more. Or it could be, let's work on, like, I still need to tweak this. So I think it's really like your goals are constantly changing. There's no end point. And that's what makes it lifestyle versus diet, I think.
Yes, and it's good if somebody has always new goals. Because when I started, I was just I wanted to disappear with belly fat and the kilograms that I had, pounds what I have. But after I said, no, I want to be healthy, I want to be strong. And now also I want to do handstand, and this is my next thing. And I'm going to pole fitness classes, and I want to be better and better in that. So always something new, and we need it, because many women, I think, in their late 40s and 50s, they think everything it's finishing. It's not, I'm not feel feminine anymore, and it's at the end of everything, and they don't have new goals or anything. When I saw in some groups how they speak about themselves, I was, no, please, no. You can change everything, and just the mindset. She has to believe that she can change something. First, just a little step, and then bigger steps.
100%. And I think that's what I think I love about my job the most, is seeing those changes. I think seeing even half a light bulb go off, that they do have value, that there is worth to them outside of what they look like. And that's why I focus so much on mindset too, because I just don't think, like, I'm a true believer that what happens up here affects down here, and what happens on the body affects the mind. And so I personally work through all of it, because I don't think that one, like fixing the body, and I'll put fix in quotes, isn't going to solve those problems, right? Like if you are still an unhappy person with a sexy body is not going to matter, because you're still unhappy. So how do you make sure that when the changes are being made, that you're making those changes globally? Like I like to I hate the word holistic, but I really do take a whole person approach, because I do think that it makes a big difference. But to your point of like the 50 and life over, one of my close friends, she's always laughing at me, because I don't have a problem wearing form-fitted clothes. I don't have a problem with a crop top or a bikini or anything like that. And she was like, I would never wear what you wear. She's like, I'm 50, I can't wear that. And I was like, okay, like that's great. I don't care. Like, to me, that, there are things that I would not wear because I'm not a teenager, but I'm not a teenager. So I wouldn't wear the same clothes my kids wear, but that doesn't mean that I can't wear something that I feel confident, that I feel good in, and I think that is a big change in mindset too. Like, I think that we need to start like stop judging each other about what we're doing. And I think the judgment that comes around of body weight, of what we look like, what we're wearing, and it goes both ways, right? Like, it's not like judging the skinny girl or judging the fit girl or judging the overweight woman. Like we got to step back from that and focus on like what works for us. Like, something that works for somebody else may not be the right thing for us. And I think that's an important lesson too. Like, and it's a hard lesson to learn, is like, I look at people and I kind of judge like healthy versus unhealthy, because I think somebody who's really skinny or somebody who's full of muscle may not be healthy, but neither is the overweight person, right? But there are people who are overweight and healthy and not skinny. So, we really have to, like, for me, it's really about health and being the best person inside and out that you can be, not just about appearance. But yes, that usually comes with being the best person that
I
you can
just wanted to say it usually comes with healthy lifestyle. The pounds will drop.
and feeling good about
So
yourself. I mean, I think that,
yes,
that confidence, that energy, which again, going back to women in perimenopause and menopause, their energy is garbage. It's in the tank, and their confidence is usually gone, decreased substantially. And, you know, the mood swings and all that stuff. But what people, they're so quick to jump on hormones, but it's not necessarily the hormones that are causing it. There's so many other factors, lifestyle related. The menopausal weight gain isn't necessarily related to hormones, which I think so many women don't realize. Like I always say, yeah, your hormones may be at play, but they could be at play because of your lifestyle, not because of something that you need meds for, right? Like I'm on HRT. I have no problem with it. For some women, that's a big issue, or health reasons they won't go on it. But that's not going to solve all of your menopausal problems. Your lifestyle is going to affect what you're doing. So like an estrogen or being on it, not having it isn't the cause for your belly fat. There are other reasons, and women aren't educated on that. And that's the bigger issue. And again, let's go find the supplement that's going to solve the world's problems, because that's not going to be the way to do it. So that's kind of, sorry, that's been like coming up a lot today. And I was like, really, ladies, like, this is not going to be like, you're asking for help, but it's not, but you don't want help. You just want somebody to sell you something or tell you what you can take. And it's not going to get the results that you want. And that, sorry, I'm a little frustrated with that, right? Do what you want to do. I get it. But like, you know, having been in this game and gone through my own health struggles and weight loss struggles, I just think like we have to look long term, and those quick fixes are not going to be the ones to do it if you're not making the lifestyle and nutrition changes, especially at our age.
if you could go back in time, and if you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
That's a tough one. I like that question. And I think I think it is, don't let my confidence, sorry, don't let your confidence be driven by what you look like. And I know that's a hard one to overcome. But I think as a teenager, that was my self-esteem, my confidence was very much driven by my appearance. And how I felt about myself, and comments that boys made and stuff like that. And I think that's a hard thing to kind of outgrow. But then I would say, like, from a nutrition standpoint, from a diet standpoint, it's hard because what we knew then, what we were taught then, isn't what we know today. What we didn't know what the stuff is today. So from that standpoint, I think it's a hard thing, because we don't know what, like, we didn't know back then about protein. We didn't know back then about lifting. We didn't know back then. So I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that part too, so that I didn't ruin my metabolism. I didn't have the thyroid problems that I have today because of the dieting that I did back in the day. So I would say, sorry about the dogs. I would say combining the two, the confidence aspect, don't let it be tied to what you look like. But I wish that I could go back and take what I know today and let my younger self and other girls I was growing up with that were dealing with the same thing know about that.
Yeah. And what is your message to my listener?
I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't hear.
What is your message to my listener?
My message to your listeners is, I think that, like, you know, don't be afraid to get help and ask for help, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And I think that stepping up and asking for help is really the most important thing. And, you know, and making sure it's the right person, somebody that you have a connection with, somebody who has the same beliefs that you, not that you shouldn't be willing to work with other people, but I think that, you know, you have to have that connection. So, you know, if Stella's the person to work with, and you agree with how she is and you like her message, great. If I'm the person, that's great. But I think it's really like, don't wait, and find the person, find the thing that's going to work for you, and making sure that whatever you're doing is something that you can keep for the rest of your life. I really think that's the biggest message I could give, is making sure that whatever you're doing is sustainable and that it is taking everything into account and not just one aspect.
Yes, thank you. And if somebody wants to work with you, how they can reach you?
All right, so you can find me on Instagram, and my my handle on Instagram is at Regan_La Testa. My email is Regan, it's REGAN, at greenlavacoaching.com. And my website is greenlavawellness.com.
I will write them so they can reach you if you want.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.